$332,000 while you're doing the project. And then you get rewarded again on the back end. And that's the thing. Stuff always going to take longer and cost more than you think.
The session was amazing. Rashad knows his numbers. It was a lot to take in, but I will be studying and studying and studying. But it was amazing to break down everything. This is my dream. This is my goal. So I'm ready for it. My dream is obtainable.
What is this?
Post-pro group.
And you got to get this recorded before you get your permit.
So would you want to do your survey during your due diligence period when you buy the land?
A survey, you want to get that first. And usually what I do before I even close, I ask the seller if they got a survey. If they don't, I'll see if they'll pay for it. If they don't pay for it, I'll pay for it.
Okay.
I mean, I got a real life situation like this yesterday, the 11 acres that I'm closing on. They said we had to get a boundary survey because he sold off a piece of another piece of that land. He had more acres than that. So in order to get an insurable legal description, we had to.
So how did he close on that land and didn't record it? Like if he sold a piece of it, that's
a great question. I mean, we supposed to close next week. Okay. And they just brought this up.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, I guess we got to go get a boundary survey. That's, he found somebody for like $750, so that was good. Okay. So this page right here shows you the layout. It shows where everything goes on the top side. And each page is going to break down. So this is excavation. This shows, the levels, how high the terrain has to be at different points. Basically smoothing it out, and it's like that for a reason. Like from the naked eye, you would think, okay, let's just flatten it all out. But now you got to think about water runoff. You got to think about all type of stuff. So So that's demo. This site grading. This right here is like These numbers let you know where you at on the sea level. So when you know how to read the plans, you'll know like. The higher the number, the higher the
elevation.
Yeah. So the lower the number, the lower the elevation.
Okay.
So right here, you see when you see all these lines, that means it's real high. So this is gonna be a hill. It's gonna come down. This is gonna be flat, and here we're gonna hit another hill. Right.
So question. So if this is a hill here and this is a hill here, wouldn't, if it rains, the water go down there?
No, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because on another page, you're gonna see the water runoff in a drainage. And it's drained a certain way, and that's why engineers get paid what they get paid, because we're gonna have a whole bunch of underground drains that facilitate where the water goes. Okay. From the trees to, perforated pipe underground. The parking lot, when I did the parking lot, we had to, I forgot, it was porous asphalt on top, and then we had perforated pipe. So the water would seep down, 80% of the water would seep down through the parking lot and drip out slow throughout the head wall. Okay. You see what I'm saying? And 20% of runoff, because if all 100% ran off, it'd cause floods. Got it. So that's how you kind of, maintain the water runoff. And all of it's connected. So we got the elevation, site grading.
I have one more question.
Okay.
So with this, right? So an engineer has to come in here and like put some piping and stuff in there. Is that like, do you have a different insurance just in case if they mess up?
Yeah, I mean they got their own insurance. Okay. So I'll have insurance when we start construction, but each trade has insurance. So, so I hope that answers your question, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying, so when you actually get all, like, the families and all the people move in, and then it starts raining, and then you see there's a problem with one of, like, their drainage and stuff like that, that same engineer is going to come back and fix it for free, right? Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they on the hook. Their name is on it. Okay. So now that's before. Now, if we close on it and let's say we sell this back to the HOA, the HOA would be responsible. I actually had to write up a document today that said I'm doing 4 townhomes on the east side. I had to write up a document that said that I will be responsible for the sanitary sewer, the private sewer that connects to the public sewer.
Okay.
So I'm responsible for the private in perpetuity until I sell it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And so, all right, how do you even go about selling it to a HOA?
Well, you don't sell it to a HOA. Like, I create the HOA.
Okay.
And then I give it back to the owners.
Okay.
So the owners then appoint a vice president, a president. You know, they'll take it from there. So like, when I met with my attorney last week to go over the covenants. Mm-hmm. So the covenants that I put in there, they can or cannot. They may stay, they may not stay. Because when I give it back to the homeowners, they can go in and change their own covenants. But I'm done with it at that point.
Got it.
So I'm getting it started, passing it off to the homeowners. I don't want to be in the HOA business. So
I didn't know you did that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a part of.
Man, it's so many moving parts in this development.
I swear to God, I did not know that.
Like creating a purchase and sales contract. The HOA goes into that. You know, the preliminary plat right here that's gonna get recorded. So if you pull it up in you know, on the public site, you'll see how the layout is supposed to be. So like we just went over site grading.
Yep.
The next one is the drainage. How can we make sure this don't flood? So if you look here at the legend will show you what everything is: landscape buffer line, lot line, property line, the easement lines, the swells, where the swells go, where the storm drainage lines go. And if you look at the legend, you can come over here and see, like, this is all where the pipes are running. And that's why I had to get 2 basins in here.
What is that?
This is water detention.
Okay.
So I was mad that they made me do 2, but you can only do a certain size. So this was as big as it could be. I wanted this to be all green space, but I had to have 2. But one thing we will know is it's not gonna flood. Yeah. You know. Well, so what I'm gonna do right here is try to beautify, because it's eating into my green space. So we're gonna make it out of a rain garden. Okay. So yeah, so that's the water runoff. And this is the thing, you learn, I learn plans just by looking at plans. And then I talk to my civil, we have Zooms, I'm always asking questions, and I get them to record it. So, I mean, let's say we do a Zoom, I'm not gonna be able to catch everything. I'll go back and watch it again and go back through and see what he was saying. So now I understand it. I don't just wanna take what he says as face value, because the more you know, the more dangerous you can be.
So I am the president of my HOA, and we actually are in charge of like the water detention. So you explaining exactly why they're there, because we have like 3 in our community, and I'm like, why
y'all got 3 detention spots?
Yeah, I'm like, why do we?
It must be a big community.
It is pretty big.
Yeah, because it can only be a certain size, so they made me do the second one.
But right now they're starting to get clogged up.
Oh, why?
Because there's a lot of like debris in there, like a lot of leaves and all that other stuff in there. And it's expensive to clear it out. It's like $50,000. So that's no joke.
50 racks to clear out some debris?
Yes.
Somebody give me a wetsuit. Hey, I'm going in that thing. Yeah. Somebody give me a wetsuit. So that's why
a lot of what you're saying is I'm connecting the dots here.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? When you go through it at first, it's gonna be, you might be unfamiliar, but the more you look at it, the more you go through it, it starts sounding familiar. You know, I remember my first time looking at plans, I'm like, yo, what the hell is this? Yeah. But then once I started looking at it as a puzzle with a legend, the legend gonna tell you everything that's going on.
Yeah. I mean, I've sold like land properties before, and I've had to look at a survey, but it's nothing like this.
Yeah, this so detailed, like, and it's got almost 50 houses on it, so you got different types of plumbing, different runoffs, different elevations. And, you know, as we go further, you'll see, like, now we're going to turn the page, and this is where all the site utilities is. So
before you go here, I have a couple of questions for you. Okay. So, all right, so let's just use the Florida thing as an example, right? Right. So you guys already have the land. You guys know that you're going to put 46 units on it. At what point, like, during your negotiating process, or you're not negotiating anymore, but you guys are under contract, but at what point are you doing all of this, and how long does all of this take?
So on a deal like this, ideally, now I've closed properties when I didn't have all the entitlements, because what I did was I know that it was already previously entitled. So that let me know it wasn't a landfill. Okay. So when I closed on Valentina Estates land, I just closed on it. I didn't do no due diligence because the due diligence was already done. The previous owner had already had it approved for 26 houses. They just never did nothing with it.
Got it.
So now, by me knowing that, I'm like, yo, he did all the work. You know, I can just go ahead through it. But to answer your question, when you get all this during due diligence before you even close.
How long does that take? Because like a normal due diligence for a single family home is easy. I know how long that takes. But for this seems a lot.
Yeah, you probably be in pre-development for about anywhere from 8 months to a year.
With this?
Yeah, but look, so that's the thing. That's not really a long time, and I'm gonna tell you why, right? Some municipalities meet every month, some meet it once every 3 months. So you won't even get on the docket for 30 to 90 days.
Got it.
So in the meantime, you're doing all your pro formas, you know, you're talking to your analysts, your consultants, you're trying to get as much density as possible, so you're not sitting on your hands. I mean, I wish it was a faster way to do it, but I mean, you know, you're dealing with city officials, and they're gonna move like city officials.
So with this Tampa one, right? So now that you guys, it was like a verbal agreement like last week, right? But when you guys start to put this in motion and you get it under contract, being under contract for that land is going to take a year, 8 months to a year. That's what you're saying.
That's on
to
the
get
high
all
side.
the surveys.
That's on the high side because look, this is already zoned, so we don't. So that takes out a zoning meeting. All we really have to do is do a pre-application meeting, which is basically telling them the ideas, and then the city will tell you what they think, what you can do with it, what you can't do with it, and then they're gonna tell you what you need to do to get approved. So now during that time, so let's say I've met with the city, they told me everything I need to do, and I'm on the docket for 3 more months, right? For my next meeting, my city council meeting. So now I go back to my civil engineer and we make all the corrections and we do everything they told us to do during that time.
Got it. So I'm asking all these questions because one of the reasons why I didn't get the grant was because they wanted me to already have the land. But having a land, it requires all of this to go along with it.
Yeah, but you can structure it so where you don't have to pay for the land. Like, you could do like a 6-month due diligence, 90-day close.
Okay.
So now you got 9 months to do all your due diligence before you even close on the property.
Okay.
That mitigates your risk.
Yeah.
Now, that's in a perfect world. Sometimes it might be a hot piece of property, and you just got to know your shit. Like, boom. Like on one deal I did, I went back years, and somebody had got it approved for a daycare. So based off that alone, I was like, I know it ain't nothing wrong if they gonna let a daycare be here. So on that deal, I closed before the due diligence. I mean, before it was all entitled as well.
Okay.
It's I would say for your first one, your first two, get it all entitled. You know, kind of insulate yourself as much as possible. And then, like, that's one of my taglines is master the fundamentals, then break the rules. Like me closing on it without entitlements, that's breaking the rules. But I've done the due diligence and I'm confident in my knowledge to know, you know, that it's a good deal.
Okay, that makes sense.
Master the fundamentals, then break the rules. So this right here, this is the site utilities. And like I said, like you got your legend over here, right? So if you're looking at these houses and it's like, man, what's SS? What's SS? So I go over here to the legend. Oh, SS is sanitary sewer line. So these are all the sanitary sewer lines that are going through the property, right? And then you get to see how they flow, the clean outs, you know, everything. You got your fire protection line, you got where your fire hydrant is going. This is where all the utilities are.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And let's see what else. This right here is like erosion control. Erosion is basically when I'm doing construction, just to make sure my debris don't get out in the street, go in my neighbor's yard. You got to put up silt fences. You got to do gravel driveways, you know, so they ain't tracking dirt through the street. You got to do washout areas. So let's say if a concrete truck just came and, pour concrete for me. They got to spray off before they leave.
That's crazy.
Different stuff like that. So that's basically erosion control and sediment control. Basically keeping everything that you're doing out of natural waters, natural streams, and stuff like that.
And your site manager will be the one to be on top of everybody when it comes to this.
Site manager, GC. I mean, that's sediment control is an everybody job. So everybody needs to be on the lookout. Like if we're on the site and you see a silt fence broke or it need to be replaced, you either need to replace it or say something so it can get replaced, because what happens is the erosion control police, they roll up like once a week and they can stop your project. And it depends on who you get, because I done had a dude that was real nice, like, hey, you need to do this, take some pictures and send it to me and we'll be good. Well, shit, you could get an asshole. Like, hey, look, I done told you, I'm gonna stop the project next time.
Yeah.
Like, it just depends on who you get. So, you definitely want to stay on top of that, because stopping the project ain't gonna help nobody.
No.
You got interest payments that you paying monthly. You got investors that want updates. Like you don't want to get stalled out on the development. This right here is another sediment and control. This shows what a property line is. Usually you'll probably put a silt fence around a property line where you're doing construction, just so like I said, stuff don't spill out into your neighbor's yard, state streams, and stuff like that.
Got it.
This is phase 2.
And this is all, so the erosion control and all that is your horizontal.
Yeah, all that's in horizontal. And like I said, on a flat surface, you could pretty much estimate 20,000, 25,000 per pad. If you got a rugged site, you're gonna probably be at 40,000 a pad, 45,000 a pad. That's expensive. Like on the one I'm doing, I'm at 1.8 million.
Got it.
And I thought that was a lot, but when you reverse engineer it, I don't know how many yards of concrete I got, but it's a lot of concrete. You got this long street that loops into a P. Let me show you. You got this long street that loops into a P. That's all asphalt. Then you got the sidewalks. So I got this highlighted right here because now we're doing value engineering. I'm trying to get my horizontal cost from 1.8 down to about $1 million.
Okay.
I really, at 20,000 a pad, it should be at 900,000. So what I'm doing, 42 times 20,000. So that's 840,000. That's in a perfect world. I'm double that. So now I'm taking out this redundant sidewalk. That's gonna save me on concrete costs. I'm taking this sidewalk from 10 feet to 8 feet wide.
Okay.
That's gonna lower it. Like, this is all value engineering, and it may not seem like a lot, but if you look at what concrete costs per yard, you'll see why I'm doing it. Just trying to find ways to save on the site, because you want to find every savings that you can find, because it's always going to be cost out of your control. And that's the thing. Stuff always going to take longer and cost more than you think. Prices go up in the middle of a project, stuff like that. So, yeah, so this right here is phase 2 of the sediment control. Like I told you, this right here was a hill. This let me know I got to put double-sided straw right here, straw blanket. Let's see what this is telling me to do. Inlet protection. Let's see. SF, that let me know I need to put a silt fence. So right here, so like I said on the previous page, I gotta put a silt fence, not all the way around, but it's probably half of the site where the house is at. See, we not building back here, so I don't have to put a silt fence back here. So SF right here, I gotta put a silt fence from all the way around there.
Got it.
What else we got? Double blanket sided erosion straw. We put a straw here.
So their backyard is like a hill. Okay.
Yeah. And this row of houses sits up on the hill. So that's when I'm saying that elevation. This sits up on the hill. So this east side of the property, you got steps going into your unit on these eight houses.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got on this one. You got the riprap outlet. This right here is the drainage. Yeah, so, and this right here, like I said, this right here is the gravel driveway that you gotta put right here, so you're not tracking dirt in the street. And it's a certain type of gravel rock that you gotta put. They may say, let me see what it is. They go by numbers. They don't specify. They don't specify. But usually it's like number 10 or number whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And it's usually the higher the number, the bigger the rock.
Got it.
So this phase 3 of the sediment control, same thing. Just got different stuff. Stabilization. You got the clean out for the sediment pond right here. Mm-hmm. Same thing. Disturb area stabilization. I don't know what they mean right there. TYP on site. I'm gonna have to ask my guy about that. Okay. And that's another thing too. Whatever you don't know, this is why I pay my civil. I'll be like, hey, what's this on page C503? And he'll explain it to me, now I know it.
Got it.
You know. But this page mainly talks about these two basins. Then you got the utility details. This basically tell you what type of pipe to use, what type of plumbing to use. Mm-hmm. Like, it gets real specific. It ain't just like, oh, I can go to Home Depot and get the cheapest thing. Yeah. No, you gotta follow the plans to the T. And you submit these plans to the city, and if you don't follow the plans, they can shut you down, or even worse, shut you down and make you redo it.
Got it. And at every phase of this, an inspector is coming out to make sure that you're following everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I put my plumbing underground, I gotta get an inspection for that. Gotta do a pressure test. Electric, gotta get that. And even when you go vertical, I mean, when I do framing, let me back up. When I do the foundation, I gotta get an inspection. When I do the framing, I gotta get an inspection. When I do insulation, I gotta get an inspection.
That's a lot.
When I close up the walls, they come out every week.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so when I close up the walls and put the drywall up, I gotta get an inspection. I gotta get a rough end electric, a rough end plumbing. You know when I say rough end, what I mean, right? No. Rough end is basically the front. It's two parts to electrical and plumbing. You got rough end, and you got your final. Okay. So rough end is basically we going in there, we putting in all the specs while they going in there closing out the walls, and then you come back and do your final. You put your fixtures in, and then you cut on the lights, so you turn on the water.
Got it.
Then you get an inspection for that.
Got it. I get it now.
It's more site details. Yeah, but like I said, this is you could read this 100 times, and then you'll pretty much know how to read plans.
Can I see it?
Yeah, for sure.
This is detailed.
Every little aspect that goes into not only building a house, but building a community. Like, we doing more than building a house. Like, we taking really nothing and making it something. And we making sure the water run off, don't flood. We making sure the fire department can get in there. Like, on one of my developments, I had to make sure that the sidewalk was a certain size so a fire truck could drive on it and get back there in case the house was on fire.
When you were talking about like a sidewalk that you were going to make smaller. So my parents right now, they're actually building their house in a community in North Carolina. Their streets are so tiny. And when you were talking about it, I was like, now I know why their streets are so tiny, because they're trying to save
house.
I swear to God, like, the houses are beautiful, but the streets are tiny.
Yeah, so they probably did the minimum requirement.
Yeah, because
the minimum requirement.
When you were talking about it, I was like, that's why the streets are so
small. But look, and this is the thing too, right? So, in defense of developers and builders, like, I mean, sometimes you got to do what you got to do to make the deal work, because, like I said, stuff takes longer and costs more than you think. Like I said, I didn't think I was thinking $20,000, $25,000 a pad. I'm at 42,000 a pad. That's double my number. So that took 900,000 off my bottom line. So now everything is pretty much getting tighter. So I gotta find, if I can't find it out the horizontal, I gotta find it in the vertical.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? I don't wanna, now I got the option to downgrade materials, but that's not what I wanna do because I wanna go for this mid-luxury model. So I'm faced with, do I raise the prices to make the deal work? Do I do some value engineering and take away from the aesthetic? You know, or do I, you know, shorten some of these sidewalks and take away from the experience? So you really got to make a decision, you know, out of those three in order to make it work.
So I think sidewalks is the best thing.
Yeah.
Go a little skinnier sidewalk.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I would hate to raise the prices, but, you know, sometimes, I mean, you know, that's what you got to do. Okay. So that's that. What questions you got on that?
On this, or honestly, like I said, I've seen surveys, but not like that.
Yeah.
But I've seen surveys with like a couple of my clients buying just land to build their house on it. But it's like an acre. It's not like this, and it's just one home that's going on there. So this is more detailed, and I didn't know that like in order for you to move forward with anything, you had to get all of this done first. I did not know that, like down to handicap spots.
Well, yeah, because the city can approve you if they don't know what they're approving.
But I didn't know it was down to this detail. I'm thinking it's just like, all right, the city knows that you're trying to build, you know, a complex that has 46 units in it, and is going to be, you know, smaller homes. But I didn't know that it was just like, no, to the gravel, to the fence silk fence you have to hang up. Like, I did not know it was that detailed.
So this is the sequence, right? So yeah, but for my pre-application meeting, I don't need all that. So what I do is, when I do my pre-application meeting, I go to Fiverr because somebody on Fiverr is going to be cheaper than a civil engineer. I go to Fiverr, get them to create me a concept. So these aren't plans that get stamped. They just creating a visual. So when I go in there explaining it to them in my pre-application meeting, they can see the visual and tell me in my civil what we need to do in order to get it approved.
And so your pre-application is you're sending that out with the city so that they can just give you the approval for that.
Yeah, it's more like pre-application means more like a huddle.
Okay.
Like we'll meet on Zoom, I'll submit them my preliminary plans, not this detail unless I already got them. Sometimes you may have them. Yeah. Or I may send them what I got from Fiverr for a couple $100 instead of 30, 40,000. And you know, that's I get them my concept. So let's say I take this to the pre-application meeting, I show them my preliminary plans. Now they tell me like what I need to do to get it approved. Like, I think you can get about 70 units. So my civil, or he'll make the site plan for 70 units. And that's what we'll present when we go to our city council meeting.
Got it. So they had already did that with the Tampa, like they already did.
No. They just know they can get 46 units because of the zoning.
Okay.
So that's a gift, right? So if you don't got to go through zoning and get it rezoned, that's a savior on time. A zoning process is a 3-month process, and that's if you get it right the first time. You know what I'm saying? They may say no, and then you got to go back, bring the community with you, and present again. So now you got 6 months just on that one thing. God forbid you got to get a variance. You know what
is that? No.
A variance is basically like an exception. So let's say the ordinance says I can get, my house has got to be 20 feet apart in this neighborhood. I can go to a variance hearing and say, I need these houses 10 feet apart because we're trying to get more density. But you got to tell why that will help. Like, why would you need that? And based on what you say, they could grant you that variance.
Got it.
You know, depending on where you at, that could be a month process or that could be a 3-month process too. You know. Okay. So, and also too, when you go into these city council meetings, it's not all, you know, fun and games. You know, some of these neighborhoods got neighborhood associations. So when you put out that development sign, and you'll have to do that. Let's say they'll approve you for the hearing. They'll make you put a sign out in front of your property saying that, hey, we got a hearing on this date. And that lets the neighbors know, like, if you for it or against it, come in. And you can speak for it or against it. Mm-hmm. When I did the tiny home thing and my meeting, my city council meeting, man, they showed up by the dozens. Like, bro, I'm like, so I'm sitting there, like, I'm on the front row, and I just see this whole line of people, and I'm like, damn, they for it or against it? Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and then so the way it's set up is you get 1 minute, and then I get 1 minute to rebut what they said. But I'm doing this 12 times. Like really, they came by the dozens. Like, they had a meeting and was against my development. But they don't know what was going on. So, see, it's different. Like I say, and this is the thing about development. You got to adjust in each county that you're in, because everybody got their own rules. When I did my development here in Atlanta, I wrote the letters out. So I control the narrative. In Tennessee, they sent the letters out. The city council sent the letters out, so it's real generic. They're not telling you what's coming. Yeah. They thought it's gonna be a rental community, which is wrong. They it's gonna turn into the projects. That's wrong. I'm like, yo, we bring in 42 new homeowners. Like, once I talked to them, they was for it. They advocating for it. And I had 2 neighborhood meetings with them.
They're gonna hate my affordable housing place. They're gonna hate it because they're gonna think it's gonna turn into the projects.
But of course, because this is the thing, right? Some people just negative. They don't want to see change. You know, one guy was like, "You gonna bring my property value down?" I'm like, "Yo, you know what I'm selling these price per square foot? Like, that don't even make sense." Yeah. Then I told him, like, you comparing apples to oranges. You compare tiny homes to condos and stuff like that. You compare houses to houses. You compare new construction to new construction. You compare commercial to commercial. So once I broke that down to them, you know, we got land costs. Call something out if you know it.
Well, the purchase price is $600K, and then the number of units is 40.
So when they was here, I said, "What's the site like? Is it flat? Is it rugged?" Because now I can gauge what the horizontal costs are going to be. No tree removal on flat land, so that's going to keep the cost down tremendously. Okay. Because if the land went flat and I had trees, I'm probably going to be down $200,000-300,000 before we even start excavating. You know what I'm saying?
So hypothetically speaking, say if you wasn't building the same type of community that you're really building, how do we figure out that number?
I would see what grade I'm building. At level one grade. So do this exercise real quick. I'm gonna probably send them some actuals to the bank, because what I learned over the years, even when working with hard money lenders, I was stress testing my deals to make sure that they worked at the worst case scenarios, and I would turn that in. They would go with that instead of, you know, the other, the higher number. Yeah. And once I learned my lesson on that, because they say, what you think it'll appraise for? I know it'll appraise for $500,000, but I'll say, the numbers work at 400, and they'll give me 400. Like, I even had an actual appraisal come in more than what I turned in, and they went with the lower number. They didn't even go off the appraisal. Got it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, since y'all playing like that, I'll stress test my deal, but what I turn in is gonna be different. Got it. Yeah. Okay. So that's how we come up with the price per square foot. And if you building like builder grade, you're gonna be in that 150, 160 a square foot range. You probably can even get it down to 121. That's probably if you go through with no mistakes. And that's just vertical too. This 250, this includes my horizontal and vertical. Oh. Yeah. So this right here is my budget that I got from my GC. Where my highlighter at? This is my total cost to build per square foot. All right, so do that math for me. 672 square feet.
672,
times 250 square feet.
250.
What's that?
168,000.
All right, 168K. So that's my cost to build. I'm gonna do CTB. That's my cost to build.
Everything.
Yeah.
Vertical
And
and
horizontal.
Okay.
All in one.
Yep.
So boom, that's my cost to build. Now, the next thing I want to find out is what can I sell these for?
Yep.
We already said what we said the average sales price was going to be. I'm trying to find the exact one. I think I said 270. So let's do that delta. All right, 102. Boom. Let's work it off this number right here, 102. So that's my gross profit. Right? I'm building 46 of these, right? So I'm gonna do 102,000, and this is gross. 102,000 times 46. What's that number?
4,692,000.
All right, boom. So that's my gross profit on this deal. Now that we got this gross profit, now we got to account for fees,
Yep.
paying back investors, things like that. So, for sake of time, let's say it's 20%. So I would do this number, 4.6,692,000.
Times 20%.
Yep, times 20%. What's that number? These are my fees. This is my estimated fees.
938,400. And so the 20%, I know you said hypothetically speaking, just for the sake of time, but that is just something that you know at the top of your head for just doing this for a while?
Yeah, ballpark figure, but let's get into what 20% entails. Let's go deeper, right? So let's say I had to, on this deal for simple purposes, let's say I had to raise $1 million. And I'm paying, let's say I'm paying 20% return on $1 million. So you would do $1 million times 20%. That should be 200,000. So all right, so that's 1.2 million in fees, right? That's just the payback for investors, 1.2 million. So let's get the construction cost. So it's gonna cost me 181,000 to build each one. So I'm gonna do 181,000 times 46. That's 8.32 million, right? So that's this number. All right, so that's that number, 8.326 million. And then you add in the horizontal, that's 920,000. So I'm gonna add 920,000 of that. All right, so we got a total number. We got a total number of 9.246 million. That's the total construction cost.
Okay.
The bank is gonna make me put 25% down. I gotta put 2.31 million down. That brings my loan to 9,246,000. And then I'm gonna subtract my equity, which is 2.31 million. My bank loan is 6.93 million. Let's say they're gonna give me the loan at 8.25%. That's my interest, times 8.25%. So I'm gonna pay 572,000 in interest.
Okay.
Over this loan, right? So we got 572K. And what was the 1.2 million?
The 1.2 million. What was the 1.2 million? Because I got 938,400 in fees. That's where we left off. I don't know what the 1.2 million is.
Hold on, let me backtrack. So this right here is interest. So right now we're making up what makes that 20%.
Your 1.2 million, you just said that that's the hypothetical number that you had to raise.
Okay.
That's what you said.
Number.
Yes.
All right, but now this is the real number. So scratch that out. We gotta raise 2.31 million. So if we raise 2.31 million and they're paying, we gotta pay them 20% on top of that. That's 400. That's 462,000. That's debt. You know what I mean by when I say debt?
What you got to pay back?
Yeah. So this is basically they're a lender. So if I say I need 2.31 million, I'm gonna pay you 20% on top of that. That 20% is 462,000. This is the interest I'm gonna pay for the bank. So this is around about $1 million right here in fees. So let's see what 20% really is. So we got the whole deal is 9.24 million times 20%, 1.8 million. So that's a little higher than what we really was. But that's not all the fees. So now it's in our job to make sure the bottom line is protected so everybody can get back up to that million each. Yeah. So you see when I did the 20%, how it really averaged out around the same. 20% would have been 1.8 million once I broke down the interest payment to the bank, the debt payback to the investors, and the realtor fees. We was at 1.65. So that's a good rule of thumb I use. And then we also stress tested even more, right? So that was a 20% with the fees, that stuff that we got to pay out. And then I added another $700,000 contingency on the budget sheet.
So when you're talking about the bank and the interest rates that the bank normally has, I've never done development. You have though. So your interest rates are kind of similar to how the market is like for residential houses. Like, it's not higher.
So it just depends on the bank, right? So my bank quoted me 8.25%. Just because they quoted me that, by the time we get around to actually inking the deal, it could go up or it could go down because a lot has changed in the market since they gave me that. I actually just requested an updated letter from them so I can update my pro forma. I got $1 million investor who's asking for the updated pro forma and everything I've spent that I've raised on so far. So now that I got that document ready, I can send it off to them, and I want to make sure all the numbers are updated and correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, like I said, we stress tested the deal even more with 700,000, and we came up to 2.57 million when the goal was to be at 3 million. But with all of we being very, very conservative. So we really gonna be probably at 3.2, 3.3. You know, if everything works out. Once you do it, it's just kind of like doing a puzzle again. When you do a puzzle for the first time, it's hard, but if you do it again, you'll be faster with it.
So how long, so now that you guys know the property that you want, it's already zoned, things are in motion, from when they came here, when would that project be done?
It depends on how the city of Tampa moves, how fast they move. So right now, we're in the process of getting it under contract.
Yep.
Once we get under contract, we negotiate with the seller, like, hey, we're gonna pay you. You could pay more and say, look, if you want $600,000 for this property, how about this? I pay you $650, but give me 12 months to close. And then on 12 months, I'm getting all my entitlements. So that reduces my risk, right? I'm paying them an extra $50,000, but let's say if I close on this $600,000 property and it turned out to be a dud, I lost $600. So it's worth me to it's like getting an inspection. Yeah, pay that little $300-400 to protect $300-400,000. You know, so. And then on the back end, you're really not gonna feel it, you know, because you got all your entitlements. You done increase the value of the property anyway. You probably increased the value of the property a couple $100,000.
Got it.
And you paying him an extra $50, but that was to insulate you to make sure you know you're not exposed.
Okay, so I have another question. This might be too personal, so let me know if it is. So if
I'm telling you, deal structure. I
am gonna get it.
Deal structure is one of the most underrated things of the game. It's different ways to do it. And you can do it like, hey, we all put up 200. This is your role. This your role. This your role. You know, and you can run it like that.
Got it. So, for an example, does he still get $1 million at the end of the day? Like when it's all
yeah, I mean, so this is the thing, right? It could be a situation where you find a property and you don't put up nothing, because without a deal, you can't do a deal. So let's say, I don't know, maybe he won't get $1 million, you know what I'm saying? But it's all about what you agree on.
Yeah,
like
okay.
the deal structure. Like if he found this property and I was gonna make $1 million on it, I don't care what. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought me the opportunity.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because no matter what I do, I can only make $1 million because there's 3 of us on here.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't want to cut him out and try to make 1.5 when he found the deal.
Yeah.
Because my thing is longevity. I mean, you got people out here like that try to get every dollar. They don't care about relationships and they real transactional.
Yep.
But for me, it's like, bro, I'm getting opened up to the market, man. Let's run this shit up.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, I'm cool with $1 million.
Okay.
You know
That's
what I'm saying? We balance out the responsibilities. You found a dope property. I mean, they selling land around there for a couple million. So this is a steal of a deal. You know what I'm saying? So I don't get excited about much, but once we broke down these numbers, I was like, this the one. So it all works out. So
13K per pad. What is that again? 13K.
when you do 600K divided by 46.
Oh. Yes. So that's. Then I'll be like, all right, I can do this.
Yeah.
But then after that, right now I'm just like, all right, how did I get to this number?
Yeah.
But no, I got this. So instead of doing 20%, we're gonna now do 25% because the soft costs. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So do 25% and the deal still works. Like, you done paid yourself 4% developer fee. So you done got $332,000 while you're doing the project. And then you get rewarded again on the back end. You done paid off the bank, you paid off your lenders, your soft cost is paid up, and now it's time to get paid again.
But you knew this number because you're already doing it.
Yeah, because I'm already doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I got this. The session was amazing. Rashad knows his numbers. It was a lot to take in, but I will be studying and studying and studying. But it was amazing to break down everything. This is my dream. This is my goal. So I'm ready for it. One takeaway from the day. My dream is obtainable. That's my one takeaway from the day. Today made it feel more reality and reachable. Development-wise, your numbers are the fundamental. If your numbers are not straight, if you don't know how to work your numbers, then your whole deal may be horrible. You may be getting yourself into a bad deal.
Anything else you want to say?
No.
If you guys enjoyed the video today, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We literally have a pro of development right in front of us. So make sure you ask your questions, get some answers, and take advantage of what you see here today.